Hi, this is just going to be a quick demonstration of the new Windows 8 operating system, okay? This particular demonstration is of the Windows 8 Consumer Preview Edition, which was released at the end of February 2012, okay? So the first thing is, when you first install your Windows 8 system, you're going to be presented with this, okay? Now this doesn't look like any Windows before, and this is basically sort of a menu system that's going to be based on the Metro user interface, okay, which is basically sort of a menu designed for tablets and devices with touchscreens, things like that, even Windows Phone, you know, similar devices to that, okay. So most people would be familiar with the kind of you know, touchscreen applications that would be on these type of devices, but I'm actually demonstrating this on a laptop, so it would be the exact same for a PC. So I don't have a touchscreen on this, so I'm just using the mouse, okay. So the first thing you see anyway is this menu when you come on, and you know, if you haven't seen it before, you'd be kind of wondering, you know, where's Windows and how do I do things, okay. So obviously you can click into specific applications. Here there's things like the store, which is where you can download, and there's lots of free apps in this, but there's also lots of ones you can buy and things like that, okay. So I'm just going to scroll it over here. Now if you were using this on a touchscreen, you could just swipe it over and things like that, but I'm just using the mouse, okay. So there's lots of ones there you can install for free, and you know, in time there'll be paid ones as well and things like that, okay. Now the interesting thing here is there's no exit button, or traditionally in the old days there would have been a big red X up in the top right hand corner, okay, to get out of things, or maybe, you know, the underscore symbol in the top right to minimize it or things like this. What you have to do to get out of it is you move your mouse up to the top. Now I'm not sure if it'll show in the video, but the symbol for the mouse, the cursor, actually turns into a little hand. What you do then is you hold down the left key and you just drag it towards the bottom, and that brings you straight back to the start menu, okay. Now you can do lots of things in here. There's things, you know, for, you know, calendar, for your managing your photos, your music, videos, things like that, using your email. And there's applications like, you know, these are just ones that come pre-installed, like for the weather. You can set it up for your particular area. I'm doing this in Ireland here. I just have it set up for Dublin, and you know, you can see things like that. So you can see there today's weather and things like that. Now again, to get out of it, move your mouse towards the top. This is again if you're using it on a PC or laptop, up to the top. Hold down the left key and just drag it to the bottom, and this brings you back to the start menu, okay. Now another interesting feature is that you can actually click in to a traditional looking Windows setup, okay. Now it's actually we'll say Windows Explorer, which is what things would have been based on in the past, is actually treated as an app inside Windows 8. But you can see here there's an application here called Desktop, and you can click in here and it brings you to your old traditional type of setup, okay. Now just for a second, I'm just going to go back to the start menu and show you another way. If you follow the mouse, I'm just going to move it into the very left bottom corner, okay. If I move it down here and then just click, left click, it does the same thing as clicking on the actual application, okay, and vice versa is true. If I move the mouse into the bottom left and click, it brings me back to the start menu with all the apps, okay. So I just want to go into the desktop. Now one of the first things you'll notice when you actually are using the desktop app on Windows 8 is there's no start button, okay. Traditionally this would have been in the bottom left, and you could control your menus and things like that, you know, even just to power off the computer or restart it, things like that. That's just not in Windows 8, okay. So that may be a bit of a culture shock for some people. But how you access, just from the point of view of turning off your computer, which is very important, you definitely don't want to be hitting the off switch, is if you move your mouse, you can do it in two ways. You can either move it to the very top and you'll see things pop in there, okay, or you can move it to the bottom, sorry, the right I should say, move it to the bottom right and then just move up, or the very top right and move down, and then you're into settings. Okay, and you can do certain things from within here. One of the things that you'll want to do is, if you wanted to power off your computer, for example, is you click on settings and you click on the power button, and that will give you the option to put it to sleep, to shut down, or to restart. So I would say that's a fairly basic thing, and it's actually well hidden in Windows 8, so just be aware that that's how you actually do it. Okay, so what we'll do then basically is we'll look at a few other things. I just have a few links set up here, so I'm just going to click into my computer here, and what you can see here, it looks very similar to the old ones. You have, you know, your libraries for documents, music, pictures, videos, things like that. You can do your normal stuff like with your C drive. You know, a lot of the things are very similar looking. Okay, so there's not too many changes in a lot of ways. One of the things that is a change though is what you'll see here is they've introduced the ribbon. Okay, now I have to say I'm not a big fan of the ribbon. Where I work now, we still basically every machine we have is Windows XP Pro. Now you can call us stick in the muds or old school, but it's just nearly everyone to a man in the office still prefers that. Maybe it's just, you know, we're so used to it and things like that, but you know, that's just the way it is. But maybe we should get with the times. But anyway, they've introduced the ribbon into Windows 8, we'll say, when you're browsing in Windows Explorer. Okay, now an interesting thing that they've done, okay, I'm just going to get out of that for a second, and I'm going to open up the control panel. Okay, so just say for instance I'm in oh, I don't know, anywhere, right? Let's say I want to go into display. Okay, this is a great addition. Now it's a very simple one, but it's absolutely great, and I've so missed this when I've had the opportunity to be using other operating systems rather than XP. They've put the up button back in. Okay, in the previous versions of Windows, that'd be Windows 7 and Windows Vista, they took it out and they only had the back button, and you could control where you were through, you know, clicking on particular items inside the menu, or not the menu, but the bar here. Okay, but I always like the up button, and as I say, call me a stick in the mud or traditionalist, I'm glad that's back. So that's one good thing anyway. Another feature basically then of the new Windows 8 system, as I say, there's not a whole lot of differences. Okay, obviously that start menu that we were looking at is the big thing, and you could kind of think of Windows 8 as something on the lines of Windows 7 Plus. Okay, but one thing that I did notice, and it was actually great, was when I was installing it, the speed at which it installs. Now I'm using a computer here, I'll just get out of this for 1 second. I'm using a computer here, or sorry, I'm in the wrong thing there, 1 second. I'm using a computer here that is a dual core, and it's 2.1 gigahertz and 4 gigs of RAM. I installed Windows 8 from beginning to end in around 15 minutes with everything done. Okay, so that's very quick. And what they're saying about Windows 8 basically is, as I say, you can kind of think of it as a Windows 7 Plus, but they've just made the code so much more efficient. And from my testing and just playing around with it, basically I can verify that. I've also installed it on a netbook, okay, just to test it out. And what they're saying about Windows 8 is that you need a minimum of a 1 gigahertz processor with 1 gig of RAM, and something that's just capable of running DirectX 9. Okay, so I installed it on you know, a netbook, and it was I think it was a 1.6 gigahertz processor with 1 gig of RAM, and it actually worked quite well. I was actually fairly surprised. So from that point of view, that's good, because you know, when they went to Vista, it was just a dog basically, just so heavy, so slow, and not user friendly. So from that point of view, that's another plus. Okay, So that's basically just a quick overview. In other videos in the series, we're just going to show you the installation process and how you can get your hands on the consumer preview edition of Windows 8, and you know, how you can download it, burn it to CD, and install it on your computer just to test out. So that's basically it. Just a very quick overview of the new Windows 8 consumer preview edition.